Welcome back to the second episode of Raw J's vlog. This is the second part of my background, my introduction so you get to know me a little bit, and you get to know my story, get to know my journey, so you understand exactly where I came from and what I did to get to the place that I'm at now. So I just want to kind of reiterate, I want to go back and just kind of sum up what I spoke about in the first video. So basically, I gave you some background about my teenage years and when I started doing drugs and went through all of that, and then basically what happened when I finally got clean. It was after I had relapsed for about 1.5 years, and funny enough, that I literally just came up on my 10-year anniversary, which was just a few days ago. 10 years of being clean and sober. That in and of itself is a freaking miracle, because I couldn't even go 3 days without doing coke. So to be here today and speak about this is a blessing. It is an absolute blessing. It was funny, a few weeks ago, it hit me that I was like, wow, like I have to do something for this. I have to honor this accomplishment. Because the past few years, in the beginning, I had stopped going to meetings after I had done the 12 steps. And I was doing other, healing modalities and whatnot. And so I hadn't been to a meeting in years. It had to be at least 5 years. But I would always go back for my anniversary. And so a few weeks ago, it came to me. And I was like, I need to go to a meeting. I need to pick up a chip, a key tag, something that honors the fact that I made it to 10 years. And I didn't actually get a 10-year medallion, but I got a key tag for multiple years. But I'm actually buying myself a 10-year token. I was like, this is a feat in and of itself. Like, I couldn't go 3 days. And I know anybody that's ever dealt with an addiction, it has such a stronghold on you. It's, in the beginning, we're just hoping to go one day. That's why they say, take it one day at a time. Because we can't think about anything else. And so I remember being in the rooms when I got clean the second time around, and just seeing the other people, 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 25 years, or 30 years clean. I was like, wow, that's what I want. One day, that's what I want. And so the past few years, 7, 8, 9 year anniversary, I was like, yeah, wow, this 10-year mark really hit me big time. And I was like, wow, just so grateful. So grateful. Probably because I see where I was and everything that I've gone through since then to get to this point, that I'm able to look back and be like, wow, thank God, I'm alive. Just thank God for that. I'm here breathing and I can talk about it. So yeah, I want to congratulate myself. I want to congratulate Jonathan for actually doing this. This was a huge thing for myself. And I think anybody that's ever gone through that process of going through recovery, it's no joke. It's no joke to get that 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. That's why they give out those chips. You make it 30 days after dealing with an addiction, whatever drug it may be, big steps. That's why just honoring that is huge. And so like taking this time to honor that is big. It's very big for me, because I never would have done that before. It was like any sort of accomplishment, I just get it and just throw it in the trash. It's like, that's nothing. But this, it's a testament. I see that it's a testament to how much I've grown. Mentally, spiritually, emotionally. That I'm able to, one, that I made it this far. And two, that I'm able to take this time and just honor it and just be like, wow. It's a blessing. It's a big thing. It's a big, big, big thing. So with that being said, just to recap what went on in what I had spoke about in the last video. So towards the end, when things got really bad, I was prostituting myself. I dropped out of school because I failed a take-home exam. I failed another exam because I decided to blow cocaine the day before the exam. And I just couldn't stop doing the drugs. And so that one night where I literally thought I was going to OD, it changed everything. It just opened up. It was like I was like cracked open. However you want to explain it, that was like my spiritual awakening. So now moving forward, so I went into recovery, and at the time I was living in Florida, and I ended up getting into recovery there, and then I ended up moving back to Los Angeles because I got involved with acting again, and so I decided to move back to LA. And during this time, I was still prostituting myself, but it was like eating me up alive. It's like a part of me knew not to do it, but there was still a part of me, like my mind couldn't see any other way for me to make money. It's like I hadn't worked a real job in years, and I just didn't believe that I could do it. I'm not quite sure what it was, but it was just, I was stuck in this loop, and I just didn't see a way out. Like I didn't believe that I could make the money that I needed to make to pay my bills. And so I kept prostituting myself, even though I knew it was wrong. And then the crazy thing was, like, I was getting signs. I was literally getting signs from the universe, like, I need to stop. Like, this is bad. Like, this could end very badly. Like, you need to cut. You need to cut this shit, Jonathan. Seriously. And so I ended up eventually stopping, probably about like a year later after I got clean in that February. So I was in Florida for about 8 months, moved to LA in September. My 1 year anniversary was the February coming up. And so I'm in LA. I finally eventually stopped the prostitution. And I'm living with my girlfriend at the time and working the 12 steps. And she was also very spiritual. So she was actually like a huge, huge influence on my life in order to help me work through those things. Because I literally, and I mean, I guess it's almost a given. Any person that's dealt with an addiction, like the last thing they're dealing with is their emotions. Hence, that's why they're pumping themselves full of drugs and alcohol, because they don't want to deal with the emotions. So working the 12 steps, that shit was fucking frightening as hell. And I'm going to do a video just on that. But usually it takes you a couple years to work through the 12 steps. I think and not to like put myself down, but it took me a little bit just to get through them, just because like I didn't want to deal with it. And I think it just had taken me like 4 years, like 4.5 years. So I did all that. then there just came a time where I thought I was done. I thought I was done. So as I was finishing the 12 steps, I was also dealing with issues with my family, with my mother, specifically with my mother. And they were, when you work the 12 steps, if for anyone that doesn't know, it brings up a lot of stuff, and you start remembering stuff, from your childhood, throughout your teenage years, stuff obviously that you did to others, and also stuff that was done to you, maybe that you're holding on to a resentment for, or XYZ reasons. So there were things that came up with my mother. And so I remember trying to work through this stuff with her at the time. And we had gone probably a full year working through stuff, and me expressing my feelings and how I felt and all that. And it got to a point, and it's funny because it was literally right before the holidays. Maybe it was just after my birthday or just before my birthday, or it was somewhere October, November, where we had gotten to a point where I didn't feel like we were making any headway. I felt like I needed to be the old Jonathan and pretend nothing happened and just get over it, and that's it. But I felt like we couldn't attain something new because I was working on myself, and I was doing, I had different feelings about how I felt about myself and how I felt about, the situation and our relationship. And I just couldn't go back to the old. It just wasn't happening. I couldn't do it. I couldn't pretend that everything was okay, because it wasn't. There was shit that bothered me that I needed to work through. And I just didn't feel the support from her. And I think part of me wanted her to, I don't know if I wanted her to change. Yeah. Maybe I wanted her to change or just acknowledge the things that had happened in a way that was truthful, in a way that was real. And I felt like I wasn't getting it. I felt like it was all BS. It was literally just BS. Just BS in me. And if I just continued with the BS, I would have been putting myself down. So I was just like, that's it. We can't speak unless you have a change of heart. And so there were even things for example, an incident when I was younger, she would apologize, but then give an excuse for why she did it. And to me, I just felt like it wasn't honest. You either accept responsibility for it or not. There's not a halfway thing. You can't you can't twist it the way you want. It's either you accept responsibility or not. I'm literally working the 12 steps and accepting all the responsibility for all the shit and the chaos that I created in my life. So I'm in a place where I can't take BS. It's either it is or it isn't. That's it. So during that time, when I hear that, I'm like it was boggling my mind. It was almost like me saying, you know what? I'm sorry, for hurting you while I was doing drugs, but I was doing drugs, so it was okay. Come on. So that was one specific thing that really irked me. And obviously that's, something that I needed to work through. But at the end of the day, I just felt like we both needed to walk 50-50 in the relationship, or it wasn't going to work. And I felt like I was giving more. And she was just taking. So I had to stop it. So I cut it off. I cut it off from everybody. And I know it happened either before my birthday or after it, but it was before Christmas because I remember them sending something and I ended up sending the gift back because I didn't want it. Because I felt like I was being bought. It's like, I literally meant what I said. Like, if you don't have a change of heart, I literally want nothing to do with you. And it hurt me, but staying in the relationship and pretending that everything was okay would have hurt me more. And trying to work it, we had been trying to work through this for a year. There was nothing else to work. It was either it was going to work or not. I'm not, I don't want to say put my life on hold, but there just comes a point where it's you just got to cut it. How much more can you do? And so I remember they sent me a Christmas gift. I sent it back. And 2 months later, literally right before my anniversary of being clean. So if I got clean in 2009, this would have been 2013. So about 4 years later, just finishing the 12 steps. In February of 2013, so I stopped everything with her, cut it off in November or December of 2012. In 2013, in February, literally a week before I guess that would be my 4-year anniversary, I started remembering that I was sexually abused as a child. All these repressed memories started coming through. And that's when I freaked. That's when I freaked out. Because I literally thought, after working the 12 steps, I was done. Little did I know what was hiding underneath there. It was like Godzilla was underneath there just waiting to come out. And so these repressed memories started coming through. And I literally remember it like it was yesterday. I'm sitting at the dinner table, just finishing dinner with my girlfriend at the time, and it just comes. I don't know how to explain it, but it's not like a thought. I mean, I guess you could say it's a thought, but this freaking memory came and I was just like, whoa. And it was about my grandfather, my mother's father. When it first came in, I felt it was a male. So I was thinking, was it my father? Did my father abuse me? Then I was like, no, that's not it. And then I was like, my grandfather? And that's when it hit me. I was like, oh shit. And mind you, everything that I had thought about my grandfather. So when they say that, you have repressed memories, you obviously repress all the bad stuff. So in my mind at the time, I thought nothing but good stuff about him. I knew, not everyone's perfect, but I just had this good, these good memories, I guess you could say, until the repressed memories came in. And I was like, wow, this fucking son of a bitch, the shit that he fucking did to me. And I got fucking, part of me was fucking pissed. Another part was pissed that I had to go through this. And another part was scared to death because of all these repressed memories. Because I was like, what the fuck am I going to do? And literally, thank God that I had such a spiritual girlfriend, because if I had to deal with that myself, I don't think I would have fucking made it. If I wanted to kill myself while doing drugs, this would have sent me, I don't even know. That would have sent me fucking downhill. Big time. So thank God for her, because she helped me through it. But also, so I started getting the repressed memories with him. So I started writing everything down, and I started writing everything down about all the memories and all the details, and it was tough. Like, those things, they came through, and everything was a freaking trigger. Like, I was like cracked open, and I was so sensitive that it'd be like watching something on TV would get me to remember something from my childhood or my teenage years, and that would lead to remembering something with my friend, and like it was just like a line. It'd be like one thing to the next, and it's all connected, and it would link to something with the abuse. That's how sensitive I was. Or it would have been seeing something on the internet or talking to somebody. Like, I was so like emotionally like cracked open. I was freaking scared to death. I didn't know what to do with myself. Literally. It's like, I didn't even want to freaking deal with it. I was like, are you kidding me? And so I had the repressed memories they lasted for about a year and a half. And it literally just went through, it literally like cleaned me out. Maybe one day I'll show pictures of myself, but I got pictures taken of myself. I lost so much fucking weight from like I just couldn't eat. Actually, sorry. I could eat, but I literally couldn't gain any weight. I was literally losing weight. I was in such bad shape. And I just remember like looking at myself. Like, I almost looked like Skeletor. That's how bad I was. And one of the things I remembered was I felt like I was a little kid in 2013. I would have been like 35 or about to turn 35, 34. I literally felt like a 4-year-old boy in a 35-year-old body. It's like, and I couldn't figure it out. I was like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, seriously. Like, I felt things that I had never felt before in my life. Probably because I buried them so good. And, you know, the steps was like taking off the top layer to get to this one. And wow. That's literally all I can say is like, wow. And so I had the repressed memories with my grandfather. And then a few months later, it was, as the memories were going, it was just like remembering more incidences and remembering more people involved. And that's when it was, I think it was like in June. That's when I remembered that my mother was involved. My mother actually sexually abused me. And that's where it started. And so that, on top of not speaking to them, was out. It made perfect sense. Because that's what broke my heart the most. Because I think when we have, you know, when we're kids, we put our parents like on this pedestal. And so with the repressed memories, I had locked all this stuff away, put it in a little box, and just stuck it in its little like corner down, you know, down somewhere in my subconscious. And so all the memories that I had were obviously all the good ones, or I just wanted to make myself believe that they were all good. But I knew that there was always something wrong with my mother and I's relationship. Like, it just didn't seem real. And obviously through those years where where it didn't seem real, I didn't remember any of this stuff, but it, like, something was just off. Now that I look back at it, I'm like, something was just off. Like, period. And so when I had to remember that, I was very disappointed. As a son, mother, and remembering this, I was pissed. I was angry. I was hurt. There were a lot of things going on. And then came like all the shame of like being abused. And then I started remembering. Then I started seeing my behavior with women. And how like that's one of the things that I wanted is like I wanted like a dominant woman, and like I wanted to be abused in some way to continue it from the abuse from when I was a kid. How crazy, like, it's crazy, but when you actually like work the 12 steps or you work any type of thing and you like start to see, it's almost like the lineage, and you start to see like the line of how things are connected. Oh, like I have this pattern and I can trace it back to something that happened when I was a kid because of this incident. And so I started having, the memories started coming up with abuse with her. But I do remember a time where I was like gung-ho to like make sure that she paid for it. Like, she needs to be put away for it. And it was just in the past couple of years that I got to the point where I was like, who cares? Like, I literally do not care. Like, my main concern is me. Like, I make the analogy, and I don't, condone or say that everybody needs to do this, but, there's this saying that you are like you're an average of the 5 people that you hang around with. I feel that includes family as well. And for me, I needed to cut all ties in order to move forward. Because if not, I just felt like it was a ball and chain that I was like dragging around. Our relationship was severed. Like, there's not going back to that. And it's not about forgiving them, but there was just a dynamic between me and them that I know what took place. They say it didn't happen. That's fine. We have our differences of opinion. Like, I don't expect you to come out and say, yeah, it did. But I need to do at the end of the day what's right for me. Like, no more pretending that shit didn't happen. I can't do that, because then I'm going backwards. And then everything that I worked for getting clean, like, I might as well just be back there at 30 doing the drugs. Because I won't be able to handle myself. So I had to cut ties. All of them. I don't speak to any of them. And so I kind of lost my train of thought here about where I was going with that. But I felt like I just needed to say that. Like, that's it. Like, for me, I can't be associated with them. Any of them. I feel like it would just be a monkey on my back. Because I would have to behave in a way that's the old Jonathan. Not the new one. That's why I severed it. And the way I look at it is, I'm just going to start my own family. Like, at the end of the day, I'm going to stop this lineage of the abuse. Like, it stopped with me. And I'm going to move forward with something different with my family. And yeah. And that's how I feel about it. Like, I'm very firm and very strong on exactly how I feel. And what I need to do for myself. Because before it was just about everyone else. Pleasing everyone else, pleasing the girlfriends, pleasing, my mother, pleasing other people in my life. And it was just like, where's Jonathan? Where's Jonathan at in all of this? Nowhere to be found. He's like down at the bottom of the totem pole. That's where he is. And yeah, it's just, times have changed. And so that's the second part of my vlog, of this background introduction part. The next one will be all about what I've done since then to get to the point that I'm at now. And I don't want to keep these videos too long. But I think it's important that you understand my journey, so then you'll understand when I start focusing on specific videos or when I start focusing on specific topics. So with that being said, thank you for tuning in again to Raw J's vlog. And I will be back soon with another video. Thank you.